I want to share with you my favorite quote, and then you'll see why I'm sharing this first. And it's by Oprah Winfrey, and she said that you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. But before I go on, can you guys hear me well? Yeah, okay, cool. So she said, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. Now, when I was growing up, there were loads of things that were awesome in my life, and there were some things that I didn't quite like in my life, and one of them was my parents' relationship. It wasn't the relationship that I imagined I would have when I would grow up, and for that reason, I felt like I'm going to make some different choices, and I'm going to set some boundaries for myself that would put me in a different position, so I never have to have a relationship like that. And obviously, when I was still growing up and up to when I was 18 and I could get a job and I could go to uni and I could do other stuff, I only had a limited amount of choice physically, because obviously I was still dependent on my parents. I still had to go through school and do all of that stuff that we all have to do, and then we're free finally. So when I was old enough to be able to leave the country and not ask for permission anymore, I decided that I would move from Romania, where I grew up. I grew up in Bucharest, and I decided that this is not what I want for myself. The life I imagine for myself is very different. I don't want to have to listen to stuff like this. I don't want to be surrounded with people who I felt didn't have much ambition, and I always felt a little bit like I was the odd one out. I would want to go and do things, and my friends would look at me like I'm this alien, and why do I want to do such things? And I just felt like this is not how I want to live my life. So if that means that I need to go to a different place, then I'm going to go to a different place and do what I actually want to do. So I decided that I would come to London, and as much as I am adventurous and courageous and confident, I also have a very practical side. For me, things need to be very practical. I need to feel comfortable. I need to be able to feel safe and all of that stuff. So I decided to get a job as an au pair, which paid me £90 a week. But because that was the safest job I could find, coming from a different country, I was only 21, that was perfect for me. And because I was an au pair, I lived with the family, so I wouldn't have to pay rent and food and whatever else there was to pay that I now have to pay. So it didn't sound like such a bad deal. And I got that job, and I've had it for many, many years. In my head, I thought, this is my ticket out, this is my way out, so I'm going to take it, it doesn't matter. And it actually worked out really well, because it taught me many lessons. And working with kids, I always wanted to have siblings. So my sister was only, how old was she when I left? She must have been about 8 or 9. And the kids I was going to look after were about 8 or 9 as well. One of them was 7, actually, and one of them was 14. Actually, let's get this straight. I should remember after all of those years that I've been looking after them. So I decided to make that change. I gave up a job that I had back home that was really well paid. My auntie was earning 3 times less than I was at that age. My dad had just started his own business, and my friends were saying, why do you want to go somewhere where you don't know anybody and you want to start from scratch when you have everything here? And as Shay said, I just broke up with this boyfriend who I thought everything was going amazing and everything is going to be just fine and we're going to be together forever, just to find that actually he was cheating. And because I set the boundaries that I set when I saw my parents' relationship, when I was observing that growing up, that was not something I was going to settle for. So that was just the way for me. And that was the first time when I was actually flying on a plane when I left Romania to come here. And when I got here, I got in a cab from the airport going to the family's home, and I just felt like I was at home. I didn't even get to the house yet, but I just felt like I was at home. And that to me was testimony that if I had the courage to do something that is so out there, like nobody in my family, my parents haven't even traveled abroad by that point. They only started traveling when I would invite them to come and see me. So I knew that if I was going to have the life that I want to have, I would have to go and ask for whatever I want to have in my life, and I would have to set boundaries for myself and for other people to respect when it comes to me. And obviously, the boundaries that I set for myself, I'm happy to respect them for everybody else as well, because I can understand the importance of that. So that's how my courage and that was my new beginning of basically starting to live the life that I actually want to live for myself, and that wasn't influenced by anybody. It was just mine. That's probably the part that I'm most excited about, and that's why I wanted to share this story with you guys, because there are so many people, and I know so many people that don't have the courage, or maybe they feel like, actually, you know what, maybe this is okay, maybe I'm just gonna settle here for a while. And since this is the first show of 2018, I was so excited when Shay told me that this is the next speaking position that she had available, and I just thought, no, I'm not changing that. It doesn't matter if something comes up before today, that I'm just gonna stick with this, because it's very important, and I want to encourage you guys to do the things that you want to do. Take steps in that direction. I started as an au pair. I'm now running a property management business and a coaching business. I got qualified as a personal trainer in the meantime, because I thought that's the direction I wanted to go into. I only had 2 clients in personal training, because then I discovered property, and then I didn't want to do that anymore. I just focused on my property business, and one step in the direction where you want to go is all you need, because once you take that step, you're going to find the next step, and then you're going to find the next step. And you know what? If you change your mind and you don't want to do it at all, once you've gone in that direction, the choice is yours. Nobody's there to tell you anything. And if somebody wants to stop you, don't listen, because it's not their life. If I listened, and I was a bit heartbroken when I left home, because me and my mom were really, really close. So when I left, every time I spoke to her on Messenger and I'd see her on the webcam, she would be crying for 3 months straight. Every single day, whenever I spoke to her, she'd be crying. And I knew that she's hurt, but she was at the same time happy for me. And I wanted to take that part of it, and not the one where she was so heartbroken, because I didn't want to go back home. And funnily enough, she now lives here with me. My sister moved here after she finished primary school in Romania, so she's now here in school. Everything changed. If I didn't take that step, if I wasn't brave at that point to move on and do the stuff and just pursue whatever I wanted to pursue at that point, they wouldn't be here. I looked at my between Christmas and New Year, I write down the things that I would like to achieve the next year. So I found this little card from 2011, where I had written down, I want to buy a property, I want to have this car, I want to travel to these countries, blah, blah, blah. One of them was, I wanted my grandparents to see where I live. And my granddad, I invited him, and I obviously got everything organized for him to come over in November. And that was, as much as I was super happy to have him here, that was like an experience that changed his life forever. And now every time I speak to him, he says that I changed his life. And to me, it was just being organized, buying a plane ticket, and I was just talking to David when we started about crying on stage. I did not see this coming. But yeah, for him it was such a big thing, and he said to me, I've got my head screwed on, and he thinks that I'm going to go places and I'm going to do all of this stuff, and I changed his life. He never thought at 75 he was going to travel to a different country and see all this new stuff that he's seen here. So as much as it wasn't so much for me to do for him, and bear in mind, I had this written down since 2011, if it wasn't for me to want to leave the country and pursue what I wanted to pursue for myself, I wouldn't be able to have an experience like this for somebody else, and I wouldn't be able to offer this. And now, I trust that whenever I share what I'm doing and whenever I share my story, that people will feel encouraged, because this is the only way we can make a difference for the better in the world. If there's something that I could do that would inspire somebody, I'm going to do it. And yeah, that's why I'm here. So I wanted to share this with you guys, and I want to encourage you to, if there's one thing that I want you to take from this evening, is realize that you are responsible for what you have in your life and for what you don't have in your life. So if you want something, just take a step in that direction. Start speaking to people, or Ask questions, Google it, go on YouTube, search for it, do something about it, because if you don't, nobody's going to come and give it to you. It doesn't work that way. And that's why I wanted to start with Oprah's quote. And funnily enough, I knew that that's the right thing to start with, because this morning I saw on Facebook the speech that she gave yesterday at the Golden Globe. So when I saw that, I just thought, that's it. So just ask for the stuff that you want to have in your life. Don't take no for an answer. Everything that you want, you can achieve. You just need to keep pushing and not give up on your dreams, basically. So I see Shay standing up, which means I have a few seconds left. And like I said, if you take anything from tonight, this is the beginning of the year. Think about the stuff you want to achieve this year and just take a step towards them. You don't have to take the whole journey, but one step is going to bring you closer. And you never know what you discover on the way, because when I first started, I never thought in my life I'm going to be up on a stage sharing my story. So it just goes to show that one step can take you to many places. So thank you so much for listening to me.